Greetings all, welcome to the podcast. As part of the IOSCO World Investor Week, my distinguished guest and I will be discussing sustainable finance. With me, I have the head of the Eswatini Stock Exchange, Ms. Joyce M. Dlamini. Gos, please may you kindly just give us an introduction of who Joyce M. Dlamini is.
Thank you, Mr. Hlophe. Joyce Mhlobiso Dlamini, as Sydney has mentioned, I'm the head of Eswatini Stock Exchange. I am passionate about the development of the exchange and the capital markets of Eswatini. So today, I think we will touch on topics revolving around sustainable finance, which as an exchange, we look at both the buy side and the sell side. So my conversation will be touching on both views of this topic.
Now, Ngosi, your experience and your astuteness precedes you, if I may say. You have a career that has spanned 26 years, 14 in banking, 5 in academia, 7 as head of the stock exchange. In your experience, how would you define sustainable finance?
Thank you, Mr. Hlophe, for your question. Sustainable finance just refers to the process of taking into consideration the ESG issues when making investment decisions. ESG issues just takes into consideration environmental, social, and governance issues. So when it comes to environmental considerations, that can mean some climate consideration and also environmental conservation issues when making business decisions or investment decisions. If I can maybe take an example of Eswatini, we are an emerging economy, which means there are so many opportunities that lie out there within our sectors and industries. So in Eswatini, we can maybe talk of agriculture, where there are opportunities for businesses to dwell into green farming and also undercover farming, which is the thing or the topic or the buzzword right now around the world, because everybody is trying to concentrate on lessening his or her impact on the environment. And then on social issues, that can also talk to how we relate with our investors as companies listed maybe on the stock exchange or even unlisted companies, because in your decision making you have to take care of social issues that may touch on the girl child. Like yesterday, the whole world was commemorating International Day of the Girl Child. So in so doing, as a business, you are expected to play your part in making sure that you take care of the girl child, not only the girl child, but even the boy child. Okay, we can also move on and touch on corporate issues, both again as a listed company or an unlisted company. So even then, I think investors now are more prone on looking at the impact that they can make in any in any business setup. So again, businesses need to look at corporate governance issues. Even when it comes to employee relations, again, businesses need to play a part in making sure that their employees are taken good care of as they work in the different organizations within Eswatini and also in the global arena.
Gos, thank you for that insight. And interestingly enough, I like that you touched on ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance investing. Those are one of the names that are given to sustainable finance. But in your opinion, do you think that sustainable finance is a possible concept in the African context?
Yes, Mr. Hlophe, it is, or it's something that we need to consider, not only as Eswatini, but also in the African, continent as well. Mr. Hlophe, Eswatini and Africa are emerging economies. So it means a lot needs to be done if we are to tackle environmental issues. or climate change matters. So again, I can say we have to play a part. And maybe if I can drill more on what is happening in Eswatini, like right now, um, I think we know that as back as 2015, the UN came up with the Sustainable Development Goals, which Eswatini is also a signatory to such. And not only as a signatory, but we also make strides in making sure that we comply with the laid down blueprints. So again, I think Eswatini strongly supports the transition to a low carbon and even more resource resilient, sustainable economy. So I think our government needs to be seen to be in the forefront of, trying to build a financial system that supports sustainable finance. So, and we cannot say that is the role of the government alone. It is the role of everyone, the exchange, the regulators, and all financial industry participants. I think they need to play a part.
Yes, Ngosi. Now, speaking of the role players that you've just mentioned, do you think if the local Swazi investor, the average investor, became more inclined towards sustainable finance, do you think that there are opportunities within the financial services sector and for the role players to actually grow?
You know what? Opportunities abound in Eswatini. Like I said, we are an emerging economy, which means we are less developed. That fact just tells you that there are so many pockets of opportunities within our country, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in transport, whether it's in all the secular economy has opportunities. So it's just a matter of a company or an individual scanning through the different sectors and industries, looking for opportunities and then exploit them. Otherwise, they are there and they abound. It's just a matter of, looking at, searching for them, scanning for them, and then exploiting them.
So, on the other side of the spectrum, do you think that there are any benefits for Emaswati in sustainable finance?
You know what? This will seem like a repetition, but the benefits, again, they abound. Okay, maybe as an exchange, I can say that we have made strides in making sure that we attract green products onto our market. Way back in 2016, we started by amending our listings requirements to include a green section where green bonds, your gender bonds, your social bonds can be introduced to our markets. And as early as 2020, again, we're held by a global reporting initiative to come up with ESG reporting guidelines for our listed companies. So I think Eswatini has a big enough pool for patient capital by institutional investors, which I think asset managers can direct asset owners towards investments into green finance projects. So the opportunities are there. And the money again is there.
Green bonds sound very interesting, and it seems like the exchange is doing a lot to diversify its product offering. Now, Ngosi, what can or what would the exchange do to further educate or inform Emaswati better about sustainable finance?
Okay, currently, Mr. Mhlope, we are finalizing both our business strategy and also our communication strategy, which, when galvanized, they have to work in sync to educate the public about these opportunities that I've just spoken about. So, as Eswatini Stock Exchange and also as SADC Stock Exchanges, we have initiatives, one of which is the advancement of green bonds or sustainable bonds. So this can just be, an invite to local companies to have projects or to try to come up with projects that will attract green finance to Eswatini. Because, like I said, the world is awash with capital that, is looking for home. So we are saying, let that capital find home in Eswatini because the opportunities are there in all our sectors and industries.
Global capital definitely needs to come to Eswatini. Now, finally, Ngosi, just in closing, we've spoken about how sustainable finance can play a positive role in conservation and in fighting climate change. What else that you know of is being done on a global level?
Oh, you know what? Initiatives, like I say, have always been there, and they will be there because, like I said, the world has cash that is looking for home. So we have like the climate bond initiative, which is spearheading maybe this conversation about green bonds and the like. We also have, like next month, we have the COP27, where global leaders and all related stakeholders or like-minded people will be discussing this issue at length. And again, I think you heard the invite for all African leaders by the Vice President of America, where they've been invited to the summit, to the African Heads of State Summit in December, again, where they'll be talking about climate change and mitigation strategies, which everybody is expected, to play to the table, regardless of the size of your country. So, like Eswatini, we might be the smallest country maybe in Africa, but that doesn't absolve us from playing our part in trying to mitigate climate change. And I think in Eswatini, we've had situations that even if you were doubting that there is climate change now, those calamities, if I may put it that way, have shown that we are not immune from suffering, or global or climate changes. I think we saw last December when we had the storms and that did a lot of damage to properties and the like. So I think we have first-hand experience of the adverse effects of climate change, and I think what happened beginning of this year, just next door in South Africa, the floods and the mudslides in KZN and the Orange Free State, and the Free State. So I think one sees that, even if you're doubting that there is climate change, now I think you can see that it is there and it needs to be mitigated. It cannot be mitigated by maybe somebody outside our universe. It has to be us, citizens of Eswatini and citizens of the global landscape, to do what is right. That is mitigating climate change.
Okay, thank you so much, Ngosi. It has been a very deep and insightful discussion, and I've certainly learned quite a lot, and hopefully our viewers have also learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Sope, for this discussion around sustainable finance. Again, Eswatini has a lot of potential around sustainable finance, and I think it's just a call to all parties to play, whether you are an asset owner or you are an asset manager or you are an investor. We all need to have our hands on the deck and improve our economy. Thank you.